Hello everyone and welcome back to the UTSA Dynasty, and as requested, this is going to be a recruiting update video for the bye week. We're here in week 12 now. UTSA has played 10 of their 12 scheduled games, and they are now bowl eligible, having their 6th win over Marshall. This week we're going to look at the recruits UTSA has been going for and who can make the biggest impact if they sign on for next year. We're also going to recap the season up until this point, look at the standings in the top 25, as well as the Conference USA where UTSA resides, and we'll also look at the season stats and see where UTSA is stacking up. Only one player has signed on so far for next year with UTSA. They have 29 holes to fill, and this is one of them. Keith Cowan, an outside linebacker, 6'2", 231, a 3-star caliber player. We'll take a look at his ratings in a little bit, but now let's go to the recruiting board. First off, we're looking at the team overview, and I was wrong. It's 24 seniors UTSA has to replace. In fact, they have one player graduating at every single position on the team. So there's going to be a lot of holes to fill next year. It's going to be a very different looking team, I believe, next year. And so obviously you see some of the positions that are majorly needed. Center is one of those things, as well as on defense, defensive tackle, and middle linebacker are big needs right now. And outside linebacker, just from a talent standpoint, is also the main focus so far for UTSA's recruiting season. Outside linebacker is the #1 need right now, ranked for UTSA. They have to get better in run defense, and they can't let running backs get 6, 7, 8 yards a chunk with ease, and that's why they have targeted Chris Washington, their top prospect on their board out of California. He's a 6'2", 213-pound outside linebacker that has speed, good acceleration, a great tackler, and that's the thing UTSA wants right now. They've gone for coverage linebackers in the first couple of years, and now it's obvious they want to get their run stoppers in place. Next up, we're going to look at Brandon Ford, who's another outside linebacker. It's a high-rated prospect they're going for out of Odessa, Texas. And this guy's also a great tackler in his own right. Not as high-rated as Chris Washington, but I believe if he comes next year, he'll probably start, probably his first year. He could start definitely. And then we're also going to take a look here at Josh Johnson out of South Carolina, and this is another guy UTSA could get possibly to be a redshirt next year. He offers some pretty good abilities. He's not as fast as the other two linebackers, and he's not as great of a tackler, but he's a well-rounded linebacker that can cover and play the run, and he could probably do very well with a year of development. Last guy we're going to look at here is Cedric Parker out of South Carolina as well, and he is a fast outside linebacker, and he could offer a lot of versatility to UTSA's defense, especially if they can get him in conjunction with some of these other outside linebackers. They could give defenses a lot of different looks next year, and possibly put in some new blitz packages that would make the defense completely different. Now, the only guy UTSA has recruited so far and committed is Keith Cowan out of Pearland, Texas. He is likely going to be redshirted next year, but he's got good speed, and he's got okay coverage ratings, and we're thinking that hopefully with a year of development he can end up being a contributor at some point. This year we've seen Dominic Carter actually play very well at middle linebacker, but UTSA is still looking for Kyle Jones here out of Ohio. He's a 5'11", 248-pound middle linebacker, a 4-star caliber prospect, and he is a little bit shorter than you'd like at middle linebacker, but this is an interesting dynamic now. Just listen to this. If UTSA can land a middle linebacker like Kyle Jones, an outside linebacker like Chris Washington, and get depth in those areas, it's possible next year we could see a lot of 3-4 defense, because Dom Carter is almost too good to take off the field right now with the way he's playing on run defense, and next year UTSA could have the talent needed to run a 3-4 or a hybrid style defense. I think it's obvious that UTSA has to strengthen the interior of their offensive line. They've given up way too much pressure over the last few years on Eric Souza, John Simmons, Evan Newton, you name it. They have to protect their quarterbacks better, and Willie Kelly here would be a good start. He's out of Brownsville, Texas, a 4-star center prospect, 6'2", 278. Would like to see him put on a little bit of weight before his freshman year. He's a pass blocker, which obviously UTSA has needed the most help with, and hopefully he would give UTSA more of a presence on the interior line. Remember when UTSA had to cut a bunch of receivers in order to meet the roster requirements in the preseason? Well, now they have Cam Jones and Brandon Freeman about to graduate, which means there's going to be opportunities up for grabs in this passing offense. Darren Rose is a guy I like a lot of Louisiana. He's a guy who I think is a prototypical slot receiver. He has good speed, great route running, and has decent hands, and at 5'11", I like him a lot to take over for Kenny Harrison maybe in a year's time. The emergence of Kyle Nichols in the secondary has given UTSA fans a lot to be excited about on the defensive side of the ball, but now Darian Starling is going to be graduating, which means UTSA has to get some more defensive players in line to hopefully help replace some of these senior graduates. AJ Brown's a guy out of Dallas, Texas, who is a guy I really like right now. He's a soft commit to UTSA, and so it's likely they're going to get him for next year. He's got good speed, and he's a man coverage cornerback. He could fit in well to this man-style defense they play a lot. I'm concerned about his tackling, but hopefully UTSA can get some linebackers in place that'll make it so the cornerbacks aren't as needed in their tackling game. That is going to conclude the recruiting portion of this video. Those are the important positions and players UTSA is going for. I think this total recruiting class could be very, very good if they can land some of those linebackers. That would help the defensive side of the ball a lot. But now, let's go take a look at the rest of the league in the top 25. Here is the top 25. Oklahoma is your #1 team right now, with Houston trailing right behind them at 9-0. There's only a handful of undefeated teams right now, and actually, Conference USA is getting a boost with UCF in the top 25 as well. They dropped down, though, from 5 the week previous after losing to East Carolina, and hopefully we see one of these years UTSA can crack this list for the first time as well. Here's a look at the Heisman Watch and who is contending right now for the Heisman Trophy. David Pyland, we're definitely accustomed to seeing him. We've seen him quite a bit against UTSA. He could come on with the trophy if he can improve his season stock towards the end of the year. Here is a look at the Conference USA standings. UTSA right now is ranked 7th out of 13 total teams, and in their own division they're only 5th, but there is some good competition in here, and they've had some good duels with teams like Marshall and Tulsa, and we'll see if they can contend with teams like Houston and UCF if they stay at the top of their game. And now we'll conclude this video by taking a look at the stats for UTSA up until this point. Remember, they've played 10 games so far. Evan Newton has been their #1 quarterback, obviously. John Simmons has had his starts, but Newton has 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Simply has been more dynamic and has made more big plays in the offense. Running the ball, David Glasgow has been the senior starter, and we've seen Anthony Banks also as a sophomore get quite a bit of playing time out of the shotgun. And so I like this system that UTSA has with both of their running backs. I'm interested to see what they do next year when they have to replace David Glasgow and find a new feature back. Cam Jones has been fantastic lately in the passing game. 672 yards and 6 touchdowns, including 3 touchdowns of 70 yards or more in his last 3 games. We've seen Kenny Harrison, David Morgan, and everybody contribute in their own ways, but hopefully in the coming years we see someone stand out like Cam Jones and take over more of that #1 receiver role and really dominate the passing game a little bit more. On defense, the senior Jason Neal leads UTSA with 5 sacks, Cody Rogers with 4, and the seniors are dominating the stats for the most part in this department. The leading non-senior is Dom Carter with only 1.5 sacks to his credit, but he's had a great year all around. Interceptions, obviously, Kyle Nichols has been phenomenal. 5 interceptions up until this point. Nick Johnston with 4. And John Walker, this was his first year. He's really gotten a lot of playing time, and it's a shame he's not going to be around next year. He is a senior. 3 interceptions, 2.5 sacks. I'm very surprised at how balanced he's been, but I just wish he was more of a consistent tackler. Alright folks, that's going to conclude the Week 12 bye-week video. Next time we see UTSA, they'll take the field at home against Tulane, a 1-5 team in conference. UTSA has a good chance of getting their 7th win on the season. We'll see if they can next episode, everybody, but hopefully you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comment section which recruits you want to see play for UTSA next year who could make a big impact. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.